the chair of the session, distinguished speakers, guests, participants, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. On behalf of Bangladesh Institute of International and Strategic Studies, BIISS, may I warmly welcome you all to today's seminar on Youth Leaders, Sustainable Futures, Advancing the SDGs Together, organized jointly by BIISS and the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS. Today, we're very much honored to have amongst us Professor Dr. S.M. Abdulawal, Principal Coordinator for SDGs in the Prime Minister's Office, as the special guest. We are also honored by the presence of His Excellency Indra Manipande, Secretary General BIMSTEC, who has joined today as the guest of honor. Dear audience, today's program will begin with a welcome address by Major General ASM Ridwanur Rahman, AWC, AFWC, PSCG, Director General BIISS, and a welcome remark by Mr. Sudhir Muralidharan, the UNOPS country manager in Bangladesh. This will be followed by the remarks by the guest of honor, His Excellency Indra Manipande, Secretary General BIMSTEC. Following his speech, we'll have the presentations from today's speakers. Mohammad Rafid Abramia, Research Fellow, BIISS, and Professor Dr. Qazi Marful Islam, Department of Development Studies and Director, Center for Budget and Policy, University of Dhaka. Following their presentations, the floor will be open for discussion and contributions from the respected participants. After the open discussion, we'll have a speech by our honorable special guest. Then, the session chair will deliver the concluding remarks. Now, to formally commence the program, I would like to invite Major General ASM Ridwanur Rahman, Director General of BISS, to deliver the welcome address. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lamia. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's special guest, Professor Dr. S.M. Abdulawal, the Principal Coordinator for SDG in the Honorable Prime Minister's Office, esteemed guest of honor, His Excellency Indra Manipande, the Secretary General of BIMSTEC, Mr. Sudhir Muralidharan, the Country Manager of UNOPS Bangladesh and the co-host of today's event, distinguished speakers, learned audience, media representatives, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. It's both a privilege and pleasure for me to welcome you to today's seminar titled Young Leaders, Sustainable Futures, Advancing the SDGs Together, jointly organized by BIS and UNOPS. Distinguished guests, today's discussion comes at a crucial moment as we move closer to the 2030 deadline for achieving the SDG. The international community faces an increasingly complex development landscape marked by climate uncertainty, economic pressures, technological disruptions, geopolitical tensions, and widening inequalities. These challenges are particularly significant for developing countries such as Bangladesh, where the pursuit of sustainable development must come alongside efforts to ensure economic resilience, social cohesion, and environmental safeguarding. Over the past decade, Bangladesh has earned international recognition for its commitment to the SDGs and for integrating the goals into national planning frameworks. The 2025 Progress Report claims that Bangladesh has made commendable progress in most of the domains. However, a stark dichotomy exists between the macro level indicators or claim progress and the lived realities at the root level. Hence, we must acknowledge that substantial challenges remain for the new government in attaining the goals in time. Learned audience, the emerging socio-economic realities require innovative approaches and renewed commitment. At the center of this challenge, and indeed at the center of the solution, stands the young people of Bangladesh, who constitute 1/3 of our total population. Bangladesh is fortunate to possess a vibrant and dynamic young population who are educated, well connected, and more globally aware. Their energy, creativity, and resilience represent one of the country's most valuable strategic assets. However, the full potential of our youth remains underutilized. Many young people continue to face barriers related to employment opportunities, skill development, access to technology, participation in decision-making processes, and social inclusion. Addressing these challenges is not simply a matter of social welfare. It is a strategic imperative for achieving sustainable development and ensuring long-term national prosperity. The concept note rightly emphasizes that youth must be viewed not as a passive recipient of development outcomes, but as active architects of sustainable futures. The theme of today's seminar reflects precisely this understanding. Advancing the SDGs requires more than government action alone. In order to fully institutionalize the claims of a whole of society approach, we have to bring together public institutions, development partners, academia, the private sector, and most importantly, the youth. Sustainable development can only be achieved when those who will inherit the future are empowered to shape it. Dear participants, in recent years, we have witnessed remarkable examples of youth leadership across Bangladesh. Young entrepreneurs are creating innovative business models that generate employment and address local development challenges. Young climate activists are developing community-based adaptation solutions in vulnerable regions. Youth-led organizations are promoting gender equality, digital inclusion, social innovation, and civic engagement. These initiatives demonstrate that when young people are provided with opportunities and support, they can become powerful drivers of transformative change. Nevertheless, isolated success stories are not enough. The challenge before us is how to scale these initiatives, institutionalize meaningful youth participation, and create enabling ecosystem where youth-led innovation can thrive. This requires effective policies, adequate financing, strong partnerships, and sustained dialogue among all key stakeholders. As a premier policy research institution, BIS remains committed to facilitating evidence-based discussions on issues of such national and international importance. We believe that strategic research and inclusive dialogue can contribute significantly to policy formulation and implementation. Today's seminar provides a valuable platform to explore practical way forwards or pathways for strengthening youth engagement in SDG localization and implementation. It also offers an opportunity to bridge the gap between policy aspirations and grassroots realities. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of sustainable development is ultimately a story about people, their aspirations, their opportunities, and their ability to shape a better future. If we are to realize the promise of 2030 agenda, we must invest not only on infrastructure and institutions, but also in the creativity, leadership, and potential of our young people. The future of Bangladesh will be determined by the decisions we make today and by the opportunities we create for our next generation. By empowering youth as partners, innovators, and leaders, we can transform challenges into opportunities and ensure that sustainable development becomes a reality for all. Distinguished guests, I'm particularly pleased to see the diverse composition of participants gathered here today. I'm confident the exchange of ideas and experiences throughout the day will generate valuable insights and actionable recommendations. I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to our respected special guests, distinguished speakers, and for generously sharing their time, expertise, and perspective. Your contribution will undoubtedly enrich our discussions and help illuminate pathways toward a more inclusive, resilient, and sustainable future. I would also like to acknowledge the dedicated efforts of BIS and US Ops colleagues whose hard work and commitment have made this event possible. With these remarks, I once again welcome you all to BIS and wish this seminar every success. I look forward to a productive and insightful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for setting the stage for today's discussion. Now, it is my pleasure for invite Mr. Sudhir Muralidharan, Country Manager of UNOPS Bangladesh, to deliver his welcome remarks. Sir, please.
With your permission, Chair, I will deliver my remarks from here. Major General Rahman, Director General of BIS, Professor Dr. S.M. Abdulawal, Principal Coordinator for SDGs at the Prime Minister's Office, Ambassador Indramani Pandey, Secretary General of BIMSTEC, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and salam alaikum. Welcome to the Young Leaders Sustainable Futures Advancing the SDGs Together seminar today. I want to begin with gratitude to BIS, our partner in organizing the seminar, and to each of you for choosing to be in this room today. This choice reflects a shared commitment and conviction that the SDG agenda is unfinished business, and that finishing it demands urgency, honesty, and collective will. Bangladesh's development story is genuinely remarkable. Few nations have moved so decisively from vulnerability to ambition. And yet, as 2030 approaches, the gap between promise and delivery is narrowing in time, but widening in complexity. Climate shocks, shifting labor markets, deepening inequalities, these are not distant threats anymore. They are present realities, felt most acutely by the generation that this seminar seeks to champion. Young people are not a target group. They are a strategic asset. Bangladesh's demographic dividend is real. It's not a fiction. But dividends expire over time. The question is not whether the youth will shape the country's future. They already are doing that. The question is whether our institutions are moving fast enough to support them and to meet them midway. We see evidence everywhere. Young entrepreneurs building businesses where none existed. Climate advocates pioneering adaptation strategies ahead of policy. A recent design contest that UNOPS and Rajuk conducted for carbon conscious public spaces design had 144 brilliant submissions from young people from universities in Bangladesh. So it shows that the talent, the connection with SDGs already exists with our young people. These are not isolated stories. They are signals of what becomes possible when young people are trusted with responsibility and not just rhetoric. But potential without infrastructure is just potential. Young people need quality education that matches economic reality, skills aligned with tomorrow's jobs, not yesterday's curriculum. Access to finance, digital tools, and decision-making platforms, not as afterthoughts, but as foundations. I am really inspired by the ideas of the current government to promote startups. Professor Aval was telling me about some of those ideas yesterday, and they're truly, I think they will make a difference over time. Young people will be equipped with the skills and the capital to startups and to compete with the startups across the world. This is precisely why partnership is not optional. It is a mechanism through which ambition becomes implementation. Government sets the direction. Academia generates the evidence. Civil society holds the mirror. Private sector builds or creates the pathways. Development partners like UNOPS and BIMSTEC provide the connective tissue through infrastructure, procurement, institutional capacity to turn commitments into outcomes. At UNOPS, we have learned that sustainable development takes root only when it's locally owned and responsive to people's lived realities. That's not a principle we preach, it is something we practice. When we interacted with young people across Bangladesh while we were helping the Office of SDG Affairs to draft a communication strategy, SDG communication strategy, we understood that young people are really keen to contribute to nation building. They just don't know how they connect to the SDGs. So they think the SDG is some abstract term in which it's a government's responsibility or the UN's responsibility to further the SDG agenda. They don't know how their day-to-day actions contribute to the SDGs. And when we told them that when every time you uh, close a tap after you use it, or switch off a light bulb or a fan when you're not in the room, that is contributing to the SDGs. They said it's as simple as that. Then we are also contributing to the SDGs. They were excited to know that they were inspired to know that they were already contributing to the SDGs. We have to make the connection between young people and the SDGs. Things that they do in their normal life as day-to-day thing, actions need to be connected to the SDGs. And we need to demystify SDGs as not as some abstract idea which are disconnected from the young people. It is what they do in their regular, normal life. So let us leave today with more than just inspiration. Let us leave with clarity on where the barriers lie, what enabling conditions must be built, and how each of us can act differently after today. Young people are not leaders of tomorrow, they are leverage points of today. And how we respond to the truth will define Bangladesh's place in the 2030 story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your very valuable remarks. Now, it is my great privilege to invite His Excellency Indra Mani Pandey, Secretary General, BIMSTEC, to deliver his speech. Sir, the floor is yours.
Major General ASM Ridwanur Rahman, DG BIISS, Sri Sudhir Muralidharan, Country Manager, Bangladesh UN Ops, Professor Dr. SM Abdul Awal, Principal Coordinator for SDGs in Prime Minister's Office, distinguished scholars and experts, representatives from the Government of Bangladesh, developmental partners of Bangladesh, members from academia, civil society, young leaders, and also members of BIISS. Namaskar. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to you all. It gives me a great pleasure to join this seminar. I'm grateful to UN Ops Bangladesh and BIISS for inviting me. They are both partners of BIMSTEC. I congratulate and commend both the organizations for hosting this timely dialogue and placing young people at the center of sustainable development agenda. Let's recall that UN SDGs represent the universally agreed sustainable development goals since 2015, and multilateral efforts and member states-led efforts have focused on realizing these goals since then. The countries of the BIMSTEC region, our 7 member states, I'm sure you are aware, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. They are home to nearly 1.8 billion persons, of whom a very significant proportion are young women and men like you. Our demographic strength represents one of our greatest assets. Young people are not merely stakeholders in development, they're also key contributors to it as innovators, entrepreneurs, community leaders, and agents of change. We therefore must nurture our youth and create enabling environment in order to realize our demographic dividend. As we approach final years of the 2030 agenda, the world is confronting multiple and interconnected crises, including crumbling of the rules-based international order, The ongoing war in the Gulf region has resulted in disruption of trade and essential supplies like oil, threatening energy and food security of the countries globally, particularly in our region, including Bangladesh. We, of course, continue to face other grave challenges to our developmental agenda and security, such as climate change, environmental degradation, digital divide. Now we can also say AI divide, unemployment, inequality, social exclusion, and we can continue to name these challenges. It's also very highly unlikely that we will be able to achieve SDG goals by 2030, the target that we had set for ourselves, because since 2019, 2020, when COVID pandemic outbreak we faced, our agenda has faced numerous setbacks. Of course, as the DG of BIIES stated, we need to address our developmental challenges in which participation of youth becomes very important because they are the stakeholders in future. Across the BIMSTEC member states, we are witnessing inspiring examples of youth-led innovation in different areas. By investing in youth, their skills, knowledge, and leadership, we can unlock tremendous potential for sustainable and inclusive growth. Regional cooperation has an important role to play. At a time when global multilateral institutions, including UN organizations and international organizations, are facing tremendous challenges, including financial constraints, and are actually cutting down their strength. Regional cooperation becomes very important because it brings together countries of a region, a small number of countries. It can continue to function irrespective of the changing global environment. With a small number of countries in a regional organization, it's easy to build consensus. It's easy to delineate action plans, projects with the consensus of the member states, and also continue with their implementation. BIMSTEC remains committed to fostering collaboration among its member states in order to assist them in facing their developmental and transnational security challenges. We were created in 1997 with the leadership of Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, and Thailand coming together to create a regional platform which will connect both South Asia and Southeast Asia and will focus on forging regional cooperation in areas agreed by the member states and focus on tangible cooperation on ground. We are 7 members now. We have now a very vast agenda, and it covers most of the sustainable development goals. We have prioritized integrating youth with our action plans and agenda, and we believe that empowering young people through regional partnerships can help build a more prosperous, resilient, and sustainable future for our region. Under BIMSTEC, we have hosted a number of youth summits and conclaves, facilitating youth exchanges and nurturing youth leaderships. We'll continue to prioritize our focus on youth and women in all our BIMSTEC-related initiatives. I'm particularly encouraged by the emphasis in today's discussion on localization of sustainable development goals. SDGs can only be achieved when these goals are unpacked and translated into local action involving people, communities at the local level, as well as government, academic institutions, and developmental partners, all coming together to achieve these goals step by step at the grassroots level. As we look ahead, it is essential that we create meaningful opportunities where our young people can participate in decision making, contribute to policy discussions, and shape the future that they want to build for themselves. The voices and ideas and aspirations of our youth must be reflected in all our developmental strategies and in all our initiatives, both for the development initiatives within a country, bilateral cooperation among the countries, and also regional cooperation. I encourage all young participants present here today to continue challenging conventional thinking, embracing innovation, and working collaboratively across sectors and borders. The future of Bangladesh, other countries in our region, and globally depends on the energy, creativity, and leadership of our youth. It's not merely a slogan, it's the reality that we have. And that's why it becomes imperative not only on us, but on our youth to work together. So let's work together to ensure that youth are not left behind and that the promise of the Sustainable Development Goals becomes a reality for all segments of our societies, particularly the weaker segments of our societies. Even if we miss the timeline of 2030, and that we most likely to do, still we must continue to make efforts to realize these goals because they represent together the global aspiration for sustainable and inclusive development. And they should remain focused, not only efforts at the country level, but globally by the UN organizations and other international organizations. Let me conclude by wishing the seminar success in realizing its objective, and I'm looking forward to benefit from the fruitful exchanges that will follow. Thank you all for your kind attention. Have a very good morning.
Thank you so much, sir, for your Thank you, sir, for your valuable remarks. Distinguished guest, it is now my privilege to hand over the proceeding to our esteemed session chair, Major General ASM Ridwanur Rahman, Director General BISS. Sir, with your permission, I would like to invite you to take over the proceeding of the rest of the seminar, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Lamia. And thanks to His Excellency Indramani Pandey, the Secretary General of BIMSTEC, and also my co-host, Mr. Sudhir Muralidharan, for your kind words. Particularly, as you have heard from the Secretary General of BIMSTEC, I think BIMSTEC is a great platform for sharing the evolving regional best practices among the members and partners. And as he said, that the idea was to become a bridge between South and Southeast Asia. And with the SAARC not really thriving enough, BIMSTEC has ultimately become a good platform for us to regionally connect ourselves. And as you mentioned, that meeting the timeline may be difficult, but what we need is adjusting the timeline and still move forward. It's always a dynamic process, and we have to go with this. So, ladies and gentlemen, with these three opening addresses, now let us move on to the core session. And it's my privilege to first invite the first speaker, Mohammad Rafid Abramia, Research Fellow of BIS. Beside his personal interest in these topics, he had been working with EALG on the SDG localization project alongside Professor Dr. Maruf on this SDG localization. So I'm sure his insights will provide us with what has happened so far and what ought to be done. Mr. Abrar, floor is yours.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to start with a question that might make you a bit uncomfortable, That's exactly the point. If I told you that, I'm sure the previous speakers have also rightly mentioned Bangladesh has a demographic dividend. Almost 47% of our total population is under 30. You'd probably smile and nod. We have been told this for years, that this is our greatest asset. But let me ask, where is this dividend actually? Because what I see on the ground is something very different. Last year, I spoke with a young woman named Aisha in Batiagata, Khulna. She's 24, smart, educated, and she had an idea. She wants to create a cooperative to train women in digital literacy and connect them to the global freelancing market, which aims to tackle SDG 1, 4, and 5, that is poverty, quality education, and gender equality simultaneously. It's an innovative and localized solution, and it's exactly what we need. But when I asked her that why she hasn't started yet, she said, we do not have the training spaces, neither access to finance, and actually I do not know where to start, I unquote. So this is the real scenario, this is the real Bangladesh, not the statistics we celebrate at international forums, but the lived realities of millions of young people living in this very land. We have nearly 1,200 active startups, yes, but we also have 11.46% youth unemployment, nearly double the national average. And we have 40% of young people classified as NEET, not in education, employment, or training. Here goes the paradox that 75% of our youth have smartphone. They can access world's knowledge in their hand, within their pocket. We have inadvertently created a glass screen generation, I call, that young people are equipped to consume content, but structurally barred from producing high-value work that drives sustainable development, you name the area. So this demographic dividend will soon, if not already, as the previous speaker says, will become a liability as long as it expires. And we are running out of time. We have less than 5 years to reach the 2030 agenda. And the question is whether we can afford to not to engage people. Though we have 1,200 active startups in Bangladesh, 75% of the entrepreneurs like Aisha struggle to access the early stage capital. We have Alvi, who built an SMS-based maternal health tracking system, but faced legal hurdles to scale it up. We have Rumana, who created a localized solid waste management system, but lacks a specialized training program for further scaling up. So the problem is not the capability of the youths. The problem is within the system, the systemic exclusion. Despite these barriers, youth are already localizing their SDGs across every sector imaginable. They are not waiting for the top-down mandates and tokenistic consultations. They are building digital market space to connect the marginalized artisans with directly the buyers, bypassing the extortious middlemen. They are developing grassroots health tech platforms. They are running circular economy startups, converting the agricultural waste into eco-friendly packages. So these young peoples are solving complex, interconnected SDG challenges with whatever resources they have. This is what true SDG localization looks like. Young people acting as an architect, designing and implementing holistic solutions to the challenges they face every single day. But here goes the tragedy. The innovations remain fragmented, underfunded, and disconnected from the national SDG framework. Let's look at the systemic barriers. We have legal frameworks that restricts our young innovators navigating the administrative steps. We have massive financing gap where microfinance institutions demand collaterals that the youth simply do not possess. We have academic inflexibility that forces students to choose between their studies and their startups. And perhaps most critically, we have the policy level challenges. The government expects ideas to prove themselves for 5 years before adopting them to the national policy. But young entrepreneurs, believe me, do not have this 5-year runway. The system is designed, unfortunately, to exclude them, not to include, not to empower. And this is not just a local issue, it's a global imperative. The momentum behind youth-led SDG localization is undeniable. From the UNOPS Young Youth Engagement Platform, pushing the bold actions for 2030 agenda, to the UNDP's whole of society localization strategy, the international community is recognizing that the youth engagement is a structural necessity. The UN Youth Office's core principle demand a shift from symbolic consultation to shared decision making. And as we look outward, Bangladesh welcomes this global momentum. We look forward to the engagement of foreign countries and international partners to collaborate on these sustainable goals. We'll engage with any and every partner possible that serves our national interest to ensure our youths have the global backing to achieve their needs of their local lives. So how do we actually move forward? How do we move from fragmented grassroots innovation to scaled, nationally integrated youth-led SDG solution? The answer lies where I call localization of ambition through 4 specific pathways I identify. First, the youth-centered governance. We may deepen union-level SDG localization exercises to ensure youth are at the table, not as observers, as planners, as solution makers, as architects, as I said. Second, the dedicated financing. We need a structured, accessible credit system specifically designed for youth-led enterprises that addresses SDGs backed by National Youth Innovation Fund or any other fund for that matter. The third is green and SDG skill education. By embedding entrepreneurial mindset into our core curricula. I think it is a time we move from the service-based mindset to the entrepreneurial mindset. And finally, meaningful policy participation. We may operationalize the UN's core principle, ensuring young people are engaged at every stage from decision-making to implementation and monitoring. The good news is we do not need to invent new models. We already have them. Look at the Youth Collab Bangladesh, which has supported dozens of startups and upskilled thousands of youths, proving that youth-led social enterprises can advance SDGs effectively. Look at our union-level SDG localization exercises, where local people determine their own priorities deliberately and transparently. Believe me, these models work. They are replicable. What we need is now the political will to deepen and scale them beyond these mere pilot phases. Let me be direct. Bangladesh is, believe it or not, at a crossroad. We have the youth, the ideas, the models. Only what we lack is the systemic support to scale them. The government officials, I urge that they have the opportunity to make Bangladesh a global leader by integrating youth into the union-level planning and reforming legal frameworks. The development partners can strengthen these pathways by providing technical assistance, scaling these successful models there. And I can guarantee that these are investments for the future. These are not any charities. These are not any projects. This is what we are building the future together. And to the youth leaders present in this room, continue building your solution, engage in policy advocacy, hold institutions accountable, demand meaningful participation, not mere tokenism. We know that you cannot do it alone, but believe me, you are the starting point. You are the engine of this transformation. Once you move forward, we can fuel it up further. We came here to talk about repositioning youth as architects of sustainable development. But the truth is, youth have already repositioned themselves, as the Secretary General Beamsteak and Country Manager of UN Ops rightly mentioned. They are already the architects. The question is, whether we as a society have the courage to recognize them, support them, and get it out of their own way. I want to leave you with the thought that the demographic dividend is not lost. It is waiting for us to make the right choice to unlock it. And the choice, I can only hope, starts today. With that note, I would like to thank you all very much and look forward for your meaningful participation on anything relevant here during the open discussion session. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rafid Abrar, for sharing excellent stories which offer promises for days ahead. Also highlighting the barriers in terms of legal and bureaucracy, financing gap, mentorship deficit, policy challenges and all, and with the 4 specific recommendations you had. And surely you have recorded that we have to move from symbolic consultation to sustainable outcome, ensuring that the pilot projects are sponsored and supported in a way that we can go for mass scale institutionalization. So with that, now to take on from here and move forward with some plausible recommendations, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Kaji Maruful Islam from the Department of Development Studies and the Director, Center for Budget and Policing, University of Dhaka. Professor Maruf, the floor is yours.
Esteemed Chair of the session, Honorable Director General of BIS, Major General Ridwanur Rahman, distinguished special guest, SDG Coordinator to the Prime Minister, and Country Manager of UN Ops, Mr. Muralidharan, and BIMSTEC Chairman. And of course, the very esteemed audience before us. Very good afternoon. You just started the afternoon of the part of the day, and it's my pleasure and honor to be here this afternoon. And I really enjoy this engagement with this. It is special in a way, in many ways, but one of the ways is actually I always have the opportunity to talk before a very esteemed audience, very informed audience here in this room. And I'm very happy to see that there are many young faces for whom this discussion would make more sense. And again, before I start my brief reflection on this very topic of the seminar, that young leaders, sustainable futures, advancing the SDG together. But you see, that today we are very lucky that we have one speaker from the young category. This Mr. Rafid is young. But the rest of us, what we are delivering here, we are not in that category anymore. What does it mean? It means, essentially it means that the things, what we're supposed to do for the young, the space and the institutions and the rules and the resources, these decisions are always taken not by the young, not by the youth. It is by the adults. And unfortunately, there is a big kind of equity gap between these two broad categories of demographics. I would also like to congratulate Mr. Rafid Abrar for his wonderful presentation. And I take his inspiring conclusion that the dividend is not lost. I take kind of a stimulation and inspiration from his lecture that still we have some opportunity to work on. Although, I mean, of course, if you estimate the years ahead in terms of SDG attainment, we have only 4 years to go. And so far, as of now, Bangladesh is 114 among around 168 countries reporting to SDG, and with a score of around 64, which means there is no room for us to be proud of our performance in terms of SDG. So we have a lot to do, and unfortunately, time is running out. Only 4 years to go. So I'm not sure that how far we can really catch up the good performer in the list of the countries. But well, this is what we are. This is where we are, and we have to accept it, and we have to work with it, and we have to take it forward from where we are at this moment. Before I make my kind of reflections on, particularly on the part of like what we can do. In fact, this is the most easiest part of any kind of seminar, that you can come up with a whole list of wish lists. That's what you can do and what we're supposed to do, what we can do, unless you are not taking any responsibility of doing any of the things. So I will not make that kind of big list. I'll try to be realist. I try to be based on my experience, and I'll try to propose the things what actually worked in some cases. So whether we can consider them for upscaling, whether we can consider them as a sort of practical solution for others, for rest of the country. But before I get there, like the very term like SDG localization, what actually we mean by that? For me, I mean, there are many definitions. There is a growing amount of literature talking about SDG localization, and they have different ways to define SDG localization. However, for me, it is basically to localize means it's to devolve. Devolve, there is 4 dimensions of decentralization: deconcentration, delegation, devolution, and privatization. So for me, localization of SDG precisely refers the devolution. Devolution means, particularly, it is to give the capacity and the authority to the local level to make decisions, not only on what they're supposed to do, also on the decisions how they want to do it. That means it provides the autonomy at the local level to make decisions, to identify their priority, and to make decisions regarding the resource distribution in order to attain the priorities. So it is more about the autonomy. It is more about like giving, empowering the locals, which include youth, which include local community, which also include local institutions like local government institutions. So when we talk about SDG localization, it essentially involves local government institutions, it involves local communities, and also it includes the local resources. So with that kind of definition, if we think of like as where already Abrar already showed some cases and some in fact we conducted a research and then we found there are wonderful examples how the youth are actually making sense of SDG in their through their lived experience at the local level. And there is no lack of brilliance, I can guarantee you. They're wonderful boys and girls working out there. They're brilliant, and of course there are local. In some cases, there are some resources which were not tapped yet. So still there are potentials to utilize those resources, but there are things, there are barriers for which they cannot really utilize these resources to attain the dream that they have. In doing that, I just would like to identify three things. Like if I take from where Abrar has just left, number one is why do we need this localization? Number one, we have to answer this very question before we think of youth or any kind of population category. Number two is where to take place this localization. Where? And it cannot really take place in the vacuum. You have to have some institutional space where this localization can take place. And then the third question, perhaps the most important question, is that how to take place. So if we have to, like, first question is to define the localization, which for me it is a devolution. That means it's a kind of a most liberal form of decentralization. And the second one, like Why we need to do that? Because we all acknowledge that the brilliance are there, resources are there, but they are not given adequate autonomy and opportunity for them to utilize the resources and the brilliance at the local level. So this is the reason, and it is acknowledged across the world that youth and local communities should be engaged in attaining SDG. So that the reason is very much well acknowledged and confirmed. And the third is like where to take place, where this localization will take place. Is it the local administration like Upazila office, or is it the union position or union level, or it is the village level or the ward level? Why where? Is it the public health office at the hospital or union health center, or it is the veterinary center, or it is what? It is the local bazaar or local school. What? Where is the place? Where to start with this localization? And that question, I'll try to answer that question. And of course, the third question is how to do it. Meaning, like, of course, let's say if you see the example of that young girl that Abrar already mentioned, that she wanted to she wanted to start a cooperative, and through which she will organize local young boys and girls, and train them for freelancing skills. Then where she will start it and how she will do it? Is it only the capacity she can receive and then she can start? How to start it? If she invites people that please join me for the training, will the young in the community will join her? Why? And how to do it? So what is the particular process of localizing this SDGs at this local level by the youth? So in doing that, in order to answer all these three questions, I have a simple model. We tried to apply this model in other research works, and you can check it. It has received some degree of acknowledgement earlier. The first thing is that, like, where to start and how to start. These two questions could be answered from this four-dimension model for SDG localization. Number one is the institution. What we refer is that institution means policies, rules, regulations, and more precisely at the local level, it is about the rules of the game. For example, and at union, for example, for SDG 4, which is about quality education. And we have already learned from our distinguished speakers that, yes, for our youth, we need updated curriculum. We need to give them proper, updated, smart education. So education, but the very decision of education, I mean, quality of education is determined by the curriculum. So when I think of the rules of the game, then in the curriculum making process, are the youth part of it? Whether they can participate in the process of curriculum making. Being a university teacher, I can guarantee you that students are not part of the curriculum making process. So this is where you have to work with the institution part. That means we need to change the rules of the game. So we want to deliver an updated curriculum for sure. But it is me, being an adult of above 50, I am deciding on behalf of the youth that what curriculum is updated, but I'm not really considering, not taking any kind of opinion from my students that what really they want, what really they really want to be skilled in. So this is the part of my institution thing that institution needs to work on. That means we need to work out rules of the game that really facilitate youth participation. The second thing, of course, it is about the capacity. Of course, capacity. That means, like, definitely there is no confusion that our youth needs capacity. Capacity, it's just not about the formal education capacity. Capacity means it is just not about the knowledge and information what we receive in the classroom. Capacity refers that your particular ability to make and use your knowledge and information to solve real life problem. So this conversion, our education system, our schooling system is more into delivering information and knowledge. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just not enough. We need to redesign the pedagogy. We need to redesign the classroom process, laboratory process in a way that actually helps the students to convert their knowledge and information into sort of problem solving ability. For example, we teach them on a particular theory, but then we should also redesign our pedagogy and learning method in a way so that they can really use that particular theory in solving real life problems. So this is the capacity part. So the capacity must involve formal education and other education, like it's just not about the university education, but it is also like informal education. People can learn from other ways. For example, the digital ways. I mean, there are a lot of online programs and courses from where the students can learn. But the point is, like from us, from the policymakers' point of view, that you have to facilitate the process in a way so that the youth can access those online resources easily with a very minimum cost or no cost. So this is about the capacity part. The third one is about opportunity. Opportunity has to be open and inclusive. Opportunity means, for example, like SDG 3, if we think of like health, like which is about health, we are now suffering measles, right? At this moment, till yesterday, we have like 613 deaths in measles. And now we are approaching to dengue season. Last year, we had like more than 415 reported death for dengue. Now we are approaching to the new season of dengue. Already we are in measles and we are approaching to dengue. So this is the public health situation. Then what youth can do about it? All right, youth can do a lot about it. For example, this dengue or measles, particularly dengue, this is a vector-borne disease. So it is carried out by mosquito. So the youth can undertake, let's say, community cleaning campaign. But are they allowed to do it? If they organize a campaign, whether the existing powerful leaders and the institution, will they support them? I just came from Khulna just before Eid, and we had really great field work there, and we have seen that how these young people are doing great job in terms of solid waste management in Khulna City Corporation. But when we are asking them what are the problems, and then they say that okay, let's say there is a big community pond and it is the source of all kinds of mosquito, but we want to clean it, but no, we are not allowed to do it. You have to ask permission from the city corporation to do it. And it's a good work, it's a very noble work, it's a voluntary work, but it is very difficult just to get the permission from the city corporation. So it is about the opportunity that we have to create the opportunity for the youth to apply their genius, their brilliance, their resources. And the last point is about, and perhaps it is less discussed, that you see, we have to acknowledge the very fact that Bangladesh is now currently politically extremely polarized. This is a fact. We have to acknowledge it. So this political polarization goes from the top to all the way down to the community level, grassroots level. So that any sort of voluntary initiative at the grassroots or at the central level is not seen politically neutral. So there is always kind of political rivalry. So this rivalry actually eating up the benefit of this dividend. So my last point about like how to do about it, that is, we must facilitate a very democratic politics in Bangladesh. Very democratic politics means it's just not about the election. It's just not about having a parliament functioning. No, of course they are part of it, but it is more about tolerance. It is more about coexistence. It is more about allowing others, particularly those who are minority in terms of beliefs, in terms of culture, in terms of gender, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of lifestyle. So this allowing others, this respect for others, respect for the minority in terms of all these categories, that really can create a sort of political space at the local level, which can be helpful for nurturing the brilliance, the merit, and the great ideas among the youth. And that is something what you need to create a kind of a coherent workforce at the grassroots and also at the national level. So these are my four areas. These are my four dimensional model, like institutional opportunity, capacity, and politics, in order to like transferring, in order to really engaging youth at the local level. That is localization of one dimension of localization of SDG. So I think I took already a lot of time. I would like to stop at this point. Just before I conclude, I would give two examples and I mean, as I said, like two examples of what worked. Number one is at the union level, we saw that it was in Bagherhat that there was a Jubo Shobha. Jubo Shobha means, like, in Union Parishad, there is Ward Shobha, which is sorry, which is part of our Local Government Union Parishad Act 2009. Ward Shobha. Ward Shobha means it's a sort of a forum, like every year they're supposed to conduct at least 2 meetings at the ward level, which is known as Ward Shobha. But the one what I'm saying in Bagherhat, there was a Jubo Shobha. Jubo Shobha, that means youth council. That union parishad leader is in Dako, not in Bagherhat. So it's in Khulna, Dako. That very entrepreneurial chairman, he actually initiated 3 annual youth council in his union parishad. That is called Jubo Shobha. That means youth council. And by doing that, by organizing that kind of meeting, he was doing nothing actually, but he was mobilizing the youth for many different union parishad projects. Simple work, but that gives him a huge energy and resources to solve the local problems. So that basically a one simple way example of how you can really utilize youth for localizing SDGs. I mean, SDGs is all about our problems, like it's health, it's environment, it's everything. So whenever Union Parishad addresses any of the problems, that basically contributes to SDG. And the other one, the last one, it was in a small kind of an example. It was in Nilphamari. What we found, there was a very young UNO, and what he did in his Union Upajala Parishad, he actually convened annual youth exhibition. It was just a 2-day event. It was a kind of a competition, not as such competition, but it was sort of more about exhibition. But finally, 2 projects were like given some reward, like this is the first prize, champion, and then runners up, and then for champion and runners up were given around like 10 to 15,000 taka only, just kind of a token inspiration. But they showcased like more than 60 wonderful ideas through which they can solve local problems. So it was a small, like a sporadic initiative. But these initiatives, you don't need to do a lot of things to do this kind of initiatives. And we saw that these initiatives worked. But of course, those are like very sporadic examples. So what I say at the very end, that yes, of course, yeah, still what we are doing at this level, it is more kind of giving lip service than what we're supposed to do in ground. Nevertheless, we must admit that we went through a lot of challenges, and Bangladesh is going through a lot of challenges internally, and also like we have huge challenges externally in a way that this current geopolitical tension has created a lot of pressure on our economy and on our governance as well. So our space for choice is being shrinked. But still, since we are in a kind of a democratic, we are in the process of rebuilding democracy in the country, and we can hope that this democratic rebuilding phase may also allow the most significant part of our population to take part in all nation building process as to SDG localization too. So thank you very much for your patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Islam, for a very down-to-earth, practical presentation, highlighting first where actually Bangladesh stands in terms of global indexing in realizing the SDG goals. You have integrated or brought forward 3 questions about devolution, where to start from and how to start from. That was very seminal that you related it with the realization of SDG 4 and how we can do it. Then also some good examples of SDG 3, fighting measles and dengue, how to integrate the young generation. But I think the last example that you have given has given us a clear understanding. And if I can recall what our co-host mentioned, that everyday life, what we are doing routinely, you can just relate it with SDG goal realization. So from that perspective, it is definitely our aspiration will be to see these young leaders, entrepreneurs at the top level decision making. But we may start humble with changes in our routine life at root level, the SDG 3, 4, the great examples you have given, and then build on it and gradually reach to that level where the young generation can truly contribute in decision making. And just if we look at the present cabinet, including the key advisory positions who are nominated by our Prime Minister on that, we can see the reflection of representation of the youth in policy level decision making and leadership. So that's a great way forward. And I think you have truly said that we have scope. It's not yet late and we can go on with that. So once again, thanks to both the speakers. Now we move on to the session. But before that, before I open the floor, just recalling something. We talked about this dichotomy, about the indicators, but what struck my mind is if you look at this, this is from the report of 2025 progress report, that out of 250 indicators in 2025 June, we were yet to finalize the baseline for 218 indicators, and we were yet to finalize targets for 110 indicators. Out of the total period of 12 years, we have already lapsed 8 years. And in 8 years' time, we couldn't finalize either the baseline or targets for a good number of SDG goals. So that really speaks where we are. And I think recently UNOPS conducted an advisory session where they also found out that accurate and disaggregated data is the central in ensuring that development efforts respond effectively to ground realities. If we do not have a clear understanding of the ground reality, we cannot actually determine neither the baseline nor the target. Then comes the question that how do we reach the target? What is my strategy and action plan? So we have a long way to go. The other thing is, as we said, that we have seen glaring examples both from Rafid Abrar and from Dr. Islam that there are a lot of entrepreneurs coming up. But the issue is these solutions and innovations are fragmented, underfunded, and disconnected from the national SDG framework. So this platform is to provide or harness this multi-stakeholder partnership, youth being in the center, and also we have representatives from government, private sector, and international development partners. So this second session is the most important of today's event. We want to hear from the audience your experiences, your reflections, and through your involvement in the process, your realistic recommendations. And I would like to begin giving the floor to the young generation first, and then move on gradually to government, private sector, and international development partners. So the floor is open. You may raise your hand. I would request you to be very brief so that we can maximize the participation. So anyone? I said that I will start with the young generation first.
He is young.
Okay, I think sir is always young by heart, but I would like to take this opportunity to invite Miss Afroza Khatun Tanzi, the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Office and Country Focal Youth from CoLab UNDP, because they have taken a lot of initiatives. Just to share your example, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I'm here today to talk about Youth Collab. It is a regional initiative. So, right after the Sustainable Development Goals were declared by the United Nations, and the UNDP office in Bangkok Regional Hub co-designed a program called Youth Collab from the support with City Foundation. And the whole objective of the program was very directly what basically we all discussed right now, which is to empower young people to drive sustainable development through entrepreneurship, innovation, and policy engagement. So I think we were way ahead of our time to think about it in 2018, standing at this starting point of SDG declaration and design such project. So we just ended the project last year, this December. And interestingly, I think somehow we are still standing from where we started. So we started by talking about how youth needs to be in the center, youth needs to be in the center, youth needs to be in the center, and we are still talking about that. So that's quite a sad part. That what is the achievement that we have been doing? So without echoing everything that Maruf sir has already very nicely said, I want to emphasize 3 points, which we have been doing as UNDP and Youth Collab for a few years now. One, there has to be an ecosystem building. So there have been a lot of work happening in regional level, in local level, and of course in the country level. It's very fragmented. It has to be an ecosystem. It has to bring together everyone, just like forums like this, but more concrete outcomes should be coming out from these forums. And also, if we do not have strengthened policies and support system, these discussions really do not matter at the end. So sometimes when we think about young people, we think about students. Sometimes when we think about young people, we think about entrepreneurs. But we have to acknowledge that to mobilize young people at its best capacity, entrepreneurship is the way forward to give more jobs to young people, to give more finances to young people, and to build more capacity in young people. So that brings me to my second point that I would like to emphasize is create a sustainable financing mechanism. So in Bangladesh, of course, financing mechanism is a whole different issue that we can go on, talk about for a whole day. But at the end, dedicated financing windows, innovation funds, blended financing models, these are the only way which can help youth-led entrepreneurship and the SDG localization through it. So there are a lot of young people in Bangladesh coming out from universities. They are entrepreneurial. They want to do their own business. And they would say, we don't want to be job seekers. We want to be job givers. It sounds nice. They work tirelessly for 1 or 2 years and then they give up. They ultimately join the job market. The reason is because the policy doesn't support it. And then there's regulatory affairs that's very difficult for our young people to navigate through. So when I say regulatory affairs, may I just please go in depth of it? So when a young person is doing a business in Bangladesh as a startup or as a small innovation, they go through the same scrutiny of regulatory affairs as big corporates go. Double taxation, the same kind of different permissions that you need, different regulations that you need from different ministries. So think about from your perspective, like when you are just a fresh graduate, how difficult it is to run from different ministries to get different regulatory regulations and then run a business at the same time while you do not even have a good finance backup. So I think it all ultimately comes down to what we are doing for policy. These discussions would not really help our young people to mobilize SDGs and advance the SDG localization if the policies do not support them. And if we think about what are the policies that first needs to be in the hand, the young business, the young entrepreneurs should be considered differently than big corporates in the country. We cannot pay the same tax that Unilever or Grameenphone is paying. And we cannot be double taxed in everything while we are buying a product, while we're selling a product, while we are giving someone salary and taking our own salary. That would be the most difficult thing. So yeah, I think I would only talk about entrepreneurship since that's what my specialization's in. But I would like to talk further from UNDP as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think reiterating what the previous two speakers said with sharing personal example, and I agree with you. I think even for the NGOs or INGOs, they can at best finance pilot projects, but you need a partnership with government, private sector, and other entrepreneurs to really back up to ensure upscaling and integration it at mass scale down to root level. Okay, the next, I think there was one hand. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Sheikh Azmain, student of BSS 19, Department of International Relations, University of Dhaka. My question is to Professor Dr. S.M. Abdul Awal. I want to, as the respected SDG code of Bangladesh, that how we can scale up what Youth Collab has already done. It seems a great initiative, but yet to reach the fraction of total potential this country has. Thank you.
I think we'll take one or two questions and then collectively go on. Any more hands on the back? Okay.
Hello everyone, this is Farzana Faimod Adrita from Bangladesh University of Professionals and Department of Development Studies. So my question is, like, we have seen that you were suggesting that we give youth opportunities and capacity building, but there is also another nuance of cultural perception. So as a young woman, we see that for the female-led organizations, they faced some sort of stigma or some sort of negative perception when leading, especially in the local context. So I think, how do you plan to address these cultural factors in your initiatives?
Excellent question. Anyone from the back? Yeah, I can see one hand. Please, at the end, last row.
The decentralization are important and a very vital term mentioned.
If you can speak a bit loud.
Yes, the decentralization and important and a very vital term mentioned earlier by the Honorable Professor Kazi Maruful Islam. Why we are not focusing on it when it can play a potential role to achieve the SDG goals, and it is this decentralization is important for Bangladesh itself.
Okay, thank you. We hear from the panels and then we'll go for the next round. So first I would request Dr. Awal to kindly address the first question, how to scale up the collab and such initiatives.
I was thinking like I'll be addressing all the questions during my space, but okay. So think about collab in our country. So it's not been flourished yet, right? That's the major point. The problem is like the empowerment that one of our like young women, lady, already informs we got a lot of problem in policy level as well as regulatory frameworks. So as you know, we just started like few months ago, our government formed. We do have a certain plan to establish entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship because we firmly believe we cannot create many jobs without promoting entrepreneurship. So our government has a certain specific plan. Let's say we do have a plan to give seed loan for the entrepreneurs, right? So this is in our manifesto. So if you read our party manifesto, we do have this type of a process to promote entrepreneurship. In addition, let's say, have you ever heard about Science Park, like young people? Think about top school around the world, like Cambridge, Oxford, Berkeley, Stanford. All they do have the Science Park. What they are establishing Science Park because to promote the entrepreneurship, right? How do they flourish the entrepreneurship from the university level? Because you know you are the future of the nations, and if a university or government provides certain space for you, allocate certain space for you, give you the seed loans, and if you have a fantastic idea, then you can go there and you can implement your idea in a reality form. So that strategy we have already in our manifesto, and we are already starting up our work. The another question was like cultural factors, right? So now think about Notun Kuri. Can you remember the Notun Kuri? It was stopped before. Like when we formed our government, we started the Notun Kuri again. And also we started Notun Kuri sports, right? Notun Kuri Quran Telawat, lot of things. And also we do believe to protect our local culture, our indigenous culture, tribal people culture. If you think about women parliament member at this moment, what our government did, we included all the races, right? You'll see Hindu there, you'll see Christian people there, tribal people there, obviously Muslim people there. So we do firmly believe to protect the culture of all the peoples that exist in our country because we do believe in Bangladeshi nationalism. I think you got my answer.
Thank you, sir. I think we will hear more from you during the closing session. I would request the speakers, two of the speakers, if you would like to address some of the questions.
Yes, thank you very much. I really appreciate the brilliant questions from my young colleagues over there. And especially thanks for Adrita for bringing up this very, very important issue of cultural perspective towards women-led organization particularly. I appreciate our respected SDG coordinator, but we know, that perhaps there is something special about it, that if you look at everything from a party point of view, then I guess that's we're starting making wrong. Culture is so different that Notun Kuri cannot really help to overcome this cultural stuff. Cultural thing is about your perspective towards others. I am thinking of myself as like a dominant male and how I'm looking at other genders. I am a Muslim and how I'm looking at other religions. I am kind of rich. I'm looking at other low income categories. And when it is coming to at the grassroots level, this, I mean, we appreciate all this competition of Notun Kuru, and then of course we acknowledge the fact that they have contribution of bringing up new talents. But the reality at the ground level, at the village level, at the community level, when a girl is going out in the market with her entrepreneurship, with her products to sell in the market, then what sort of backlash she faces? That is important. When someone is being kind of a leader of organization, whether the mill and the institutions, whether they support them, support her leadership, that is the issue. And in order to address that issue, of course, Notun Kuri can help, but it's just not enough. It is, the problem is even further deep rooted. So you must address the, I mean, my solution was that it is the politics. It is the very democratic politics, the politics of tolerance, the politics of coexistence. Because politics is something that actually nourishes the values in the society. At this level, what you see in Bangladesh, that there is that space for women are being really, really shrink compared to last few years. Every day we are seeing a lot of bullying and lot of like backlashing from all different sectors of the society for women organization, it's online, offline, and so on. And there is state is almost doing nothing about it. So this is the situation, and I really acknowledge that there are a lot of room for work. It is just not like top-down initiative can remove this issue. It is our education system where we should have to start work with. It is our religious institutions from where we have to work with. And of course, it is the very texture of the society, the সমাজ, যেটাকে আমরা বলি সমাজ, that সমাজ, the society, like the formal and informal network of the local community. That is where we need to work to address this very kind of parochial perspective to women. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Islam. I think you have rightly pointed out that with the existing trend of ethical degradation and psychological distortion, what we need is a complete overhaul of our psychological mindset. So let's move on to the second round, and may I request Mr. Fahim Shahriar, co-founder, Sustain Launch Lab, to share your thoughts.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Thank you, sir, for giving me the floor. I'm Fahim Shahriar. I am the co-founder and the program lead of Sustain Launch Labs, which is a venture studio. We build deep tech accelerator programs where we assist scientific projects and transform them into some sort of a social ventures. I have two particular questions. Please bear with me because they're a little bit complex. My first question is directed to Dr. Maruf, sir. Sir, you mentioned a lot about the curriculum in your presentation. The way I see it, the whole world is moving towards deep tech, and a lot of fundings are allocated in particularly in that industry. Unfortunately, if we think from a startup perspective, we are yet to develop any deep tech solutions or any deep tech technologies by our youth. Deep tech means AI, machine learning, drone technology, all these things. It's because that our curriculum doesn't include any of these renewable energy technologies. And that's one of the reasons we're lagging behind. So do we have any plans to upgrade our curriculum in the long run? Because if we have to compete with the rest of the world, we need to educate our students. The second, it's not a question, it's more like a recommendation because I work in this field for a long time. And I would like to thank Mr. Rafid for his wonderful presentation and how he shared the story of few entrepreneurs. However, I respectfully disagree with some of the points like these are common dialogues of youth, like access to funding, mentorship opportunities, or other factors. I respectfully disagree because there's so many funding opportunities. We have raised a lot of funds, but our funds are about to run out as well. And in terms of partnership, we have also formed many partnerships. UNOPS, they tremendously support young entrepreneurs. In fact, one of the senior judges, a senior representative, actually judged one of our flagship program as well. These being a research institute also support our youth-led innovations. So there's nothing wrong with the mentorship opportunities or access to funding. The main issue is with our mindset because our students are not built to develop solutions because from a very early age in their career, in their childhood, they were asked to write answers and they were never asked to develop their entrepreneurial skills. And when they're in their university level, it's too little too late because they have the inability to develop new solutions. And that's one of the main reasons. I think we need to invest in our youth from an early stage so that later it will work with them. I'd like to share one other example from Youth Collab because I used to mentor one team from Youth Collab Bangkok, and now they are $1 million industry. It's just been 3 years. It's not that their idea is better. It's just that from a very early stage, they know how to get things done and they've been prepared. So if we really want to develop prosperous future, I think we need to invest in our youth from an early stage. So that's my takeaway. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fahim. Now I will request Taurim Sannan, architect, to share your thoughts.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I wasn't really prepared for this at all. Okay, there's a lot of things discussed. Actually, I think so very good that people are already thinking about yacht entrepreneurship. And in my last discussion, I discussed with the panelists that it was about women empowerment actually. So I thought that we women already know what we are facing. So what the problem is, from where we are facing, we have to also discuss about that. Like if we say that we are facing problems from males, then in the discussion of women empowerment, the presence of male is more important than a woman. So I am very glad to see that there are a lot of young entrepreneurs and a lot of experienced people are also here to share their thoughts. So from my perspective, I want to add up some things like, as I belong to a Manipuri community, it's the indigenous community in Bangladesh, and okay, fine. I think I wasn't prepared. I'm sorry. I graduated from BUET. I am an architect and a lecturer, ex-faculty of North University, and I'm currently enrolled in Cornell University. Maybe I'm going to join there in August. So I'm actually thinking about joining there because I already have a license of architecture. So I wanted to have a license of landscape architecture also, so that I have the both license of international and national, so that I can practice it like beyond in the borders. So about entrepreneurship, um, the Dr. Muhammad Islam already talked about the localizations. The problem of localizations, if we see about the indigenous community, students, the young child doesn't even come to school. If you will target union or like school center for like encouraging them to train up something, then you can find them. You have to go to like home level, because they are already trained. Like if we have fields, we have water, we already have everything. We know how to cultivate, we know how to eat food. So I don't need to go to any training center. We are already living well. Why would I go that? And then about if I have a neuroscience, you can already know that we can't dream without reference. So we need reference for dreaming big, and leadership comes like far later. So even if you want a young child wants to dream like she wants to become a business magnate in future, needs to know that business magnate is a thing which indigenous young child doesn't even know. So how can she think about that? Or like a girl, she's becoming like living there, she doesn't even know what architecture is. How can she can think about being an architect? So the problem is they don't even know what are existing there in the world, what she needs to compete. And when at the like then she become older, and then she knows like, oh my god, I have to face this and this. I don't want to go. I'll leave this from here. I want to be here. I don't need any entrepreneurship. So this is the problems. So I think the giving the reference in very early age to these kind of marginalized communities, you have to go to like not even in centrum. You can target the programs. You can target in the home level. Actually, this is an problem. And the second problem is like before even coming to here, I didn't know that UNOPS and funds like entrepreneurs. So these are the resources like in university level, when the youths are thinking about doing something later, maybe this kind of resources can be shared there. So which I didn't found in my university level. So I think these kind of conferences can be also found in university level, where the youth are already thinking about doing something greater. So they can find a reference, and they won't jump into a corporate level just to survive financially. So this will help to our like can pull up many young entrepreneurs leaders. And secondly, like AI and technology, as I'm sure you already added up. So about AI, this kind of technology, I mean, tolerance is a weak thing. Like in university level, students are mostly taught to become skilled in specific softwares with which they will in like they can use in offices to get a better job. So better job searching can make a good employee, can make a good leader. So for becoming a good leader, then you have to know a lot of things. A leader actually have to know a lot of things. So these kind of things, I think for that, like because of AI, for example, AI. So we know a lot of things are done by AI. We don't know what we exactly we can do about AI. So we actually like if I talk about with my father, he knows that AI can do a lot of things. What things are done by AI, he doesn't know. So if I want to say like in your company, there is a thing you can incorporate AI so that you can work a lot of faster. You're like, oh my God, for that I have to build that, and then you're like, oh fine, I don't want that. In like tolerance is a huge thing expected from the both sides. Like the bride becomes older, they are become intolerant about him.
We have understood you. So if you allow, then I can request Dr. Islam to address the question.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, yeah, there's one hand.
Hello, my name is Naim Shariar. I'm representing Swiss Contract today. In the first half of this program, I have seen that Rafid Bhai and Maruf sir showed different examples or different innovations in different parts or corners of Bangladesh. So my question is that however many of these initiatives remain local and do not grow beyond their communities, like the waste management he told in Khulna. So my question is, what are the main barriers that prevent these youth-led solutions from scaling up nationally? And is it lack of funding or limited policy support or challenges within the existing institutions? And most importantly, what are the practical steps that can the government and development partners can take ensure that successful youth initiatives are identified, supported, and replicated across the country? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the back? Okay, I see one hand.
Thank you for the insightful discussion. As a recent environmental science graduate from North South University, I strongly relate to the point about Bangladesh having a large youth population with innovative ideas and entrepreneurial potential. However, from my experience, the challenge is often not idea generation. What I have noticed is a gap between idea generation and implementation. We are encouraged to think of solutions, but many of us struggle to move beyond the competition or seminar stage. Access to funding, mentorship, industry connections, and guidance or on scaling solutions often remain limited. So my question is, what practical mechanisms can be put in place to help young people transition from having ideas to actually implementing and sustaining them? How can institutions, government bodies, NGOs, and private sector build stronger support systems so that promising youth-led initiatives do not stop at the concept stage? Thank you.
Thank you. Any more hands? Okay, there's last.
Thank you for the flow. I'm Abhijit Shah from University of Dhaka. So my question is, let's first see the context. Young Bangladeshi entrepreneurs and innovators are increasingly earning recognition on the global stage, securing full scholarships from world-class institutions, including the Ivy League universities, to advance their knowledge and return home to drive SDG-aligned solutions. Yet a paradox persists: the scholarship is won, but the visa is denied, not due to lack of merit, but due to the limited global credibility of the Bangladeshi passport. In the context of entrepreneurship, innovation, and sustainable development, what strategic role should the Bangladesh government play in removing this structural barrier? And how can young leaders themselves collectively advocate for passport reform, bilateral student visa agreements, and return bonded scholarship frameworks that signal commitment to national development, so that no future innovator loses their seat at the global table simply because of the passport they carry? Furthermore, if Bangladesh is serious about building a pipeline of globally educated, locally committed entrepreneurs to advance its SDG targets, should this visa scholarship gap be treated as a national development emergency? And what public-private partnerships, diaspora networks, or regional South cooperation mechanisms could fast-track a solution? Thank you.
Okay, there's one hand, the last one. Yeah.
So in SDG, the number 3 is about health. So from last 1 year, we are working actually for mental health, and our organization name is Moon Torongo. We have personalized AI model, and also we are giving service in online and offline counseling session. So we all know that in medical sector or health sector, how bad the government hospitals are. They are focusing in physical health, but in Bangladesh, the mental health is totally not acceptable, and in this sector, mental health sector is actually, there are many types of taboo. So we are working in this mental health sector, and it's totally boost up. Our organization is profitable, non-profitable this model. So my question is that in this sector, how should the government should implement in this mental health sector? And from the last 1 year, we actually didn't get any types of help from the government or any organization. We are totally boosted up. So my question is that in this mental health sector for the youth generation and the other people, how will the government should work in this thing?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Islam.
Thank you again for brilliant questions. Fahim Sharia, thank you for your question regarding this curriculum thing. Well, I'm working with social science faculty. However, I have my colleagues, and I have checked with them that they in the science faculty, for I'm particularly in the subjects like EEE and computer science and engineering and applied physics, and also in few other departments, schools, they have already incorporated AI and deep tech technology in their curriculum. So they are there's, I mean, it was not there in few years back, but for the last 4 to 5 years, they started to catch up with this new update of this technology. So you don't find the graduates yet in the market, but they will come shortly. So yes, there is a process of curriculum upgradation in the science faculty, and I'm sure, and I know, precisely I know that in Bangladesh Engineering, University of Engineering and Technology, they have also updated their curriculum, incorporating all those deep tech stuff. Well, the other question is about 9 Sharia questions about what are the main barriers. Yes, as I said, like in fact, I developed the model based on the barriers. Actually, number one is institution. That means there is no adequate rules in place which can allow the youth in taking up all those different initiatives within the institutions. As I said, an example of city corporation. I mean, city corporation can only allow people through some contract and some memorandum of understanding, and they cannot really build understanding MOU or sort of contract without any competitive process. But there are it is nothing to do with the contracting process. It is nothing to do with the kind of it's not a typical business thing, but still city corporation cannot officially allow a voluntary organization to act on some of its resources, for example, a pond in this case. So there are some small rules which are creating big kind of a barrier for youth to be engaged institutionally. So this rules is one of the things. Of course, the capacity is there. Capacity, as already Fahim mentioned, that we are going through the same kind of dialogue like access to finance, mentorship, incubation, but also yes, these are the things which are creating sort of barriers for them to make use or utilize or realize their potential. But it was always there. So there are people who can really maneuver this situation, navigate this situation, and that's where the capacity part is. So capacity, people can primarily they have to be given from the institution, from the education institution. And of course, it's just not only the place, but that's the prime place, prime institution from where we can really help the students to capture. For example, pitching a project to your client, to your potential investor. So that one can learn from the university through their presentation over and over again, that how to make a smart pitch, how to pitch a presentation, your business idea to an investor. So that is the skill part. So and that is kind of a capacity thing. So capacity, we have really shortage of capacity among our youth. Unfortunately, it's there. So and of course, opportunity. The other thing, the last thing, that opportunity means, let's say we have developed all of our young graduates with wonderful entrepreneurship skills and mentorship, and they have a lot of ideas. But if our real economy doesn't grow, then why they will implement it? When you are a wonderful designer of a let's say fashion designer, but if the real economy doesn't grow, if the big economic activities are not there, if just like demand is just not there because of the recession in the economy, not enough opportunity in the economy, then how to make your business? So that means the opportunity have to be created by the state-led initiative, not by the state alone. Of course, the private sector is a big partner to it, but they have to work on the real economy, and they have to create opportunity for the youth to come in and to take part in this process. Thank you.
Excellency Secretary General or Country Manager Yonas, if you want to add something. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest, His Excellency Indramani Pandey, will be leaving shortly. So, before I move on to our senior citizens, I take small break to just hand over a small souvenir to him before he departs, if you allow. So once again, our sincere gratitude to Excellency for being with us. Now, from the experienced and expert people, if anyone, okay. Ambassador Shahid was here. Okay, we will fall back to him.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm from the Ministry of Youth and Sports, working as a Joint Secretary in the youth wing. Thank you for organizing a very timely seminar, I will say, Young Leaders, Sustainable Future and Advancing the SDGs Together. So I was listening from the young people and also from the experienced. What I would like to say that what Ministry of Youth and Sports actually addressing regarding the SDGs as well as youth development. First of all, youth development is not a business of Ministry of Youth and Sports only. It is very much a cross-cutting issue, as you already discussed. Similarly, the youth is not solely included in the one SDG goal. So it cut the cross of among 17 goals. So specifically education, employment, equality, and civic participation that you already been discussed. So from my point of view, these four areas are critical to empower the youth as well as what would I like to say that for the development of specifically for the Bangladeshi youth, young peoples. As you mentioned about the civic participation or youth participation. So I have been working with the youth and youth participation for a longer time, not only in the government, but also in the other organizations beyond the government. So I have experienced both from the policy level and also from the practice of mine, especially how youth people could be engaged effectively. That you said in many cases the tokenism is there. And as Professor Maruf mentioned, you have observed some Jubo Sabha, or as there is also legally the word Sabha is there to be organized annually or half yearly in the world level to listen the young people or the listen the citizens. So all of these are there in the policy level and also in practices in some cases, as I also researched in some areas, especially the citizen participation in budget making and also policy making in the young union parishad level. The civic participation, what I was trying to say, that we have youth council, maybe youth council legally. We have, there is a youth council formation rules 2021, and accordingly we have youth councils across the country in 64 districts. So it was dissolved during the last interim government, as it was politicized in some ways. So now we are in the process to reformulate these youth councils, and also we are revising these rules. So hopefully we can form this youth council by next couple of months. Similarly, we have registered youth organizations. So far, we have 8,328 youth organizations across the country. Those are registered with us and working with the Department of Youth actively. Moreover, we have one youth volunteer activities under the Ministry of Youth and Sports, which is also one of my job to look after those activities. And this annually, every year we provide youth volunteer award that you are mentioning about the voluntary activities. So government is actually promoting the voluntary activities by providing this youth volunteer award. So this year also we are preparing for awarding 16 young people this type of voluntary activities. Secondly, we also provide as someone was mentioning about the fund and the financing. So every year we provide more than 1,000 young people. This is one-time personal donation, you can say, or incentive to develop their projects. So it is totally depends on the project's category, from 100,000 BDT to 500,000 BDT. So these are available, but you have to apply. So this is information for the young people who are here in this seminar today. And also for the financing, as you are much talked about the entrepreneurship. So we have already promulgated the Youth Entrepreneurship Development Policy 2025. Right now we are formulating a national plan of action of it. So this entrepreneurship policy exclusively or inclusively has encompassed all the issues of young entrepreneurs, including from the mentorship to boot camp, etc., everything. So I would like to request all the young people to go through this policy. And also you can participate in the National Plan of Action formulation process that has been going to be starting next Sunday on 14th of June. So there is many things in policy level that we are right now going ahead with the first of all election manifesto of the present government. So young, and also you have mentioned about the financing for entrepreneurship. I think there is so many avenues to take the opportunity for financing. You need to have you have to search over there. As someone was mentioning about the government has national human rights development fund, which is under the Ministry of Finance. There's so many funds are available. We have government has CC project. We have project, the ARN project we are implementing right now. And under the Youth Entrepreneurship Development Policy, we have created provision to provide young entrepreneurs up to 10 lakh taka. This is one kind of loan, but which is very much free. You can free of interest. We have only 4 to 5% services over there. So opportunities are there, but you have to take and you have to search into those opportunity. And again, entrepreneurship, I have some observation about the entrepreneurship development in Bangladesh, especially what we are doing in the name of entrepreneurship. So it is in some cases buying and selling, or what we expect. There must have to have some impactful entrepreneurship, like which must have innovation, employment, and also what directly contribute to our economy. So this kind of entrepreneurship we expect. But there is so many entrepreneurship. Of course, our young people are doing very well in national level and also global level. But we need to be more attentive to the employment generation and also innovation that may lead to sustainable entrepreneurial development, etc.
I think, thank you, sir. If you allow,
I'll be finishing within a minute. So, and someone was mentioning about the need people. So, Ministry of Youth and Sports is solely working for the need people. As you mentioned, more than 40% people are there, and we are rightly now working with the need, the ARN project that is implementing right now, as I mentioned a while ago. And youth access to capacity. So, very recent trend, as you were mentioning about the AI, we have already implementing one project on AI that has been started recently, and also green development. Countrywide, we have a project we call Impact Project that is providing the young people, specifically young people, for developing the biogas plant as well as generating the fuel, and also they can do it for their own household uses, and also they can do further business. So we have also opportunity. We are also providing loan over there to the young people. And last of all, what I was saying about the entrepreneurship again. So we have huge opportunity to engage the young people by providing loan to the agriculture sector. So we have training, skill development, we have loan available, we have opportunity, but we have very less people to get them to be interested in this agriculture field. People, thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Shahid.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to, because of the lateness of the hour, I wanted to withdraw my question. But anyway, since you have given me the floor, I'd like to thank, I've learned a lot, and since you have given prioritize the young, it's good that I learned also from the young generation what sort of questions they have. Let me add over here that I had a chance when I was the principal of the Foreign Service Academy many years back, went to China, and there was a young girl from the Chinese diplomatic service. I said, "What's your aspiration?" She didn't say she wants to become an ambassador. The answer was she wants to go to the moon. তো এটা হলো তাদের চিন্তা, তাদের ধারণা হলো যে চাঁদে কি করে যাবো। I said, "Why do you want to go to the moon?" Well, I want to see the Great Wall of China, because I've heard that you can see the Great Wall of China. তো মানুষ বিয়ন্ড আর্থ চিন্তা করতে আরম্ভ করেছে many years back. এখনো in our country, the youth, young leaders, there's a vast unemployment. That is my big concern. And they are going in a disjointed, because the professor is here, the coordinator of sustainable development is here from the government, and UNOPS is here, and we have heard about them, and the chairman also made excellent remarks before he had made conclusion. But what I have learned today, that a youth is moving, they're smart, they're moving into gambling, through this internet and all, and nobody is concerned about it. And this is a big concern for our society. And I don't want to talk about drugs. I don't want to talk about other, things they are going. If there is no job, they go into it. How do you generate jobs? Let me just leave with this idea with the coordinators and professors that don't interfere, because private sectors are very enterprising. Let people do whatever they want to do. The government departments, the authorities, they go on disturbing them and they run away from here. And in my career, I have seen that many people said, "Okay, we started work, but we are disturbed so much that we don't want to do any business over here." This has become a big headache. So the young leaders, young generations, we are talking about youth. We are saying that they should be more skilled, more qualified. They are qualified. They can find their way out. You see, only thing, the government is not giving them enough opportunity. And I think the new government has planned programs, but I think there's some bottleneck somewhere. I leave this thought with everybody over here, including Professor and the Chief Coordinator, anybody who would like to answer this question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I wish I could prolong this session for hours together, but considering the time limitation and the commitment of our special guest, I would like to make sincere apology, and we conclude the open forum here. Now it is my honor and privilege to invite Professor Dr. S.M. Abdul Awal, the Principal Coordinator for SDG in the Honorable Prime Minister's office. I think his insight, his actions matter the most. So let's hear from the horse's mouth. Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chair of this program, Honorable Secretary General of BIMSTEC, Honorable Country Manager of UN Ops, in addition, Professor Qazi Maruf from Dhaka University, distinguished guests, my young students, and my dear journalists. I don't know how I will start. When I listening all the discussion, I was hearing a lot of problems. Yes, being a citizen of third world country, we do have a lot of problem in our country, right? But the main challenge is how we will solve all this problem. What I think as a researcher, as an academician, if you properly identify the problem, then you can develop the solution of that particular problem. Before the elections, our government has a very definite manifesto. I'd like to request all of our young people here to read our government manifesto, where we focused how we can transform our society. Because during interim period and over the years, over the last 17 and 18 years, we found a lot of problem exist in our society. One of the major problem was in education system. The another problem was in employment sectors. The another problem was in like government bureaucracy. So lots of problem was exist in every sector in our country. And we studied over the last 17 years, the problem, the solutions, and everything. And then we raised a very good manifesto. And our government is very much committed to solve all this problem in our country. But can we do it in a days? Is this possible? The discrimination across the society arose over the 100 years after years and after years. Can you just solve this problem within a years, within a day? No, we can't. But believe us, we do have a definite plan to solve all this problem. Now, think about the education system. So one of the audience asked about the deep tech technology, whether we have any sort of course curricular regarding deep tech technology. Can you tell me, is there any public university has the Department of Machine Learning and Artificial Intelligence? You see, we don't. But we have a plan to open the artificial intelligence and machine learning subject in the future within very short time, okay? Well, this is like a lot of latest technology. Think about the basic things. When I was studying, when I was in abroad, during my, let's say, postdoctoral period at Berkeley, I was heard like one of our students telling like, I'm CGPA 5. I think he all knows that. So this statement represent the educational system that was exist in our country, right? So what we need to change the total educational systems in a proper way. So when I was a kid, my mother asked me to watch some broadcasting from Bangladesh televisions, at the time. So there was a board stand systems. So 20 students stand in the board, top 20 students, and BTV asked them to give the interview, and we are watching that program. That was our motivation. Is there any motivation exist nowadays? No, all we have CGPA 5, GPA 5. So we need to properly address the fundamental problem in our course curriculum system. What we design in our course curriculum system, we are promoting learning with happiness. What does it mean? So Professor Maruf clearly mentioned the team building capacity, the leadership quality, the case study, the storytelling. I didn't teach any student how a story can be telling in front of the audience, even at the university level, right? We don't have that type of topic in our course curriculum. So we're trying to introduce this type of systems, this type of topic from the primary level. In addition, at the secondary level and in tertiary level, we have a plan to establish career center. One of our students talking about like mental health. I was a vice chancellor during the interim period at Pabna University of Science and Technology. I saw a lot of people, a lot of students are suffering due to the mental crisis, but unfortunately, I was not able to appoint any psychiatrist due to the lacking of post, right? Later, what I did, I hired the psychiatrist twice in every month. I hired 2 psychiatrists to counseling my students because I saw a lot of students had the suicidal tendency and mental disorder. So think where we are. Our government has a plan to provide this type of psychiatrist in each institute, particularly at the university level, also at the district and Thana level in the future. We also have a plan to establish career center at the university. We also have a plan to promote innovation fair and science fair. When I was studying at Cambridge during my PhD studies, we always participate in the science fair. And I saw a lot of students, especially undergrad students, high school students, are coming to attend the science fair to get the encouragement to develop the fascination of science. Those universities always promote this type of science fair. If you read our manifesto, we already introduced this type of policy in our manifesto, and I hope very soon we will start this type of project in each university in the future. As I was staying in Berkeley and Silicon Valley during my postdoctoral period, you can sell your idea. So when I went there, I found people are selling their idea in a definite manner. Now think about our country. Can you sell your idea? You can't. In Silicon Valley, in Bay Area, there's a lots of giant company has been developed due to the idea because there is a lot of investor there. But think about our country. What the money goes of CSR, corporate social responsibility. We do have a lot of good industry, right? There are a lot of CSR money. Do you have any certain policy that all the CSR money should go to the entrepreneurship development? One of our colleague or students maybe mention about the entrepreneurship seed funding, we'll put a small amount, handsome amount of money for giving entrepreneurship loan. Our government already has a plan. Already, our representative of foreign ministry mentioned that we will provide 1 million taka as a seed loan if you have a good idea, if you have a good project idea, right? So this is all we are thinking. This is all we included in our manifesto. Now I'm not going longer because I know you all people are very tired listening of lots of things. One more things I will raise from our side, from our government side. If you closely consider the social protection system from our government, like family card, if you just consider the philosophy of the family card, why we are promoting 2,500 taka to the women, and what we really want, then you will get like the good vibe. Just let me tell this story. I was traveling in Rajshahi, in Mymensingh division. I was in the grassroots level talking with the women who already received the social protections, family card, the money. I was asking, what will you be doing with your money? She told me like, hey, I'm expending this money for my kids' education. I'm buying the guides. I'm giving their tuition fees. You see, the society will be changed in the future. Our party always focus the people development. BNP always do pro-people politics. Sheikh President Jiaur Rahman always started the politics for the people, for the betterment of the people. Think about RMG, think about remittance. What a fantastic idea Sheikh President Jiaur Rahman had. And our economy is still based on these two sectors. And our government are looking for another alternatives, right? For export so that we can earn a lot of foreign currency. So believe us, we do have a very good plan. Give us time. One more thing, sir, you just released regarding cyberbullying and other things. We're really embarrassed to see all this type of shit happening in the social media, right? We studied, right? I studied at university. I studied at a very top school like Cambridge, Berkeley, Leuven. I never see this type of culture in abroad. Even I never see this type of culture like 10, 15 years back. Suddenly it rose. Why? This is due to the lackings or problems in our education system, that I believe. Therefore, sir, we introduce the different kinds of parameters like Notun sports. We are promoting sports as well so that youth can engage in this type of activities. Then they will have a less time to go for internet because they'll get tired, right? If you play football like 2 hours, 1 hour, then obviously that's youth or that's kids will get tired and they'll go for sleep. They will not have much time to rest. That's our principle. That's our philosophy to reduce this type of things in our society. So at the end, I would like to thanks for inviting me here. And I would like to thank you all for your kind patience. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of this highly engaging and insightful seminar, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to all participants for your valuable contribution to today's discussion. We have heard compelling perspectives on the opportunities and challenges facing Bangladesh in its advancement towards 2030 agenda and the role of youth as indispensable drivers of innovation, resilience, and social transformation. Our discussions have highlighted several critical realities. Firstly, that sustainable development cannot be achieved through top-down approach alone. We need localized solutions, community engagement, and inclusive participation, particularly of the youth, as essential ingredient to the structure. From the House, there were a lot of issues raising concern about access to funds, patronization, mentorship, but we were assured both from the representative of Ministry of Youth and Sports and our honorable special guest, who is the chief coordinator, that funds are available, sponsorship is available. But what we lack possibly is a common platform which can facilitate awareness and access. As mentioned, that we need kind of a real one-stop service center where the barriers that have been highlighted today can be addressed and providing a fast track facilitation to the interested entrepreneurs. The task before us is to create that platform and enabling environment where such initiatives can flourish, scale, and be synergized with the national SDG framework to optimize their full potential. I'm particularly encouraged by the practical recommendations that have emerged from today's exchange. These insights will undoubtedly contribute to the future policy discussion and strengthen our efforts towards localizing the SDGs in ways that are responsive to the needs and aspirations of our communities. I'd like to once again extend my heartfelt gratitude to our special guest, the other guests, and the esteemed speakers, and all those who participated and contributed for enriching the dialogue by sharing valuable perspective and through your thoughtful interventions. My sincere appreciation once again to BIS and UNOPS Bangladesh for jointly organizing this important seminar and providing a platform for constructive engagement on one of the most important development priorities of our time. As we leave the hall today, let us remember that SDGs are not merely a set of global targets. They represent a collective commitment to building a more equitable, prosperous, and sustainable future for our next generation. Achieving that vision requires action, collaboration, and above all, confidence in the capacity of our young people to lead positive change. I hope that today's conversation will not end here, but it will continue to inspire partnerships, policy innovations, and concrete actions in days ahead. With that, once again, thanks to the special guest, my co-host, and the esteemed participants. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we come to the end of today's seminar.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we end our seminar formally, we have a small formality to take care of. Our Director General, sir, will hand over some crest and gifts to our panel. So I'll request our